You most likely don't know who I am, but I'm an American student that is leaving Korea in 5 days. And I want to make a video basically about what I will ultimately miss here living in South Korea for the past 4 months on a study abroad program. And I come from a small town in what most would call upstate New York, but people that live in upstate New York would call it downstate New York. And I think New York is so huge, it's kind of crazy that I live in a state that is bigger than the whole country of Korea. Besides that little, I guess, fun fact, quirky joke, I basically live in a small town in New York, right? And in this small town in New York, you know, one thing that I guess does not necessarily reflect what I experienced here in Korea is transportation. The transportation is ultimately horrid and non-existent. So if you are going to get around in my town, you either need to buy Uber, Lyft, taxi if you don't have a car. You could maybe bike, but to bike anywhere, you're going to be biking miles on miles. And to kind of travel around, you ultimately need a car, but that is not the case in Korea. And I'm not too sure on what's the ratio of people that do have cars to don't have cars, because I'd say the Seoul area and where I'm studying in Yongin-si is very populated with cars, is what I'm ultimately trying to say. And I don't think that you necessarily need a car living in Korea, because with all the public transportation that is available, you can honestly get to where you need to be efficiently. And especially during the summer, AC, comfortable seats, cheap and reliable buses and subways and modes of transportation. And when I mean cheap, I'm talking about you can get from Yongin-si to Seoul about an hour 30 minutes, hour 40 minutes, around there depending on traffic, for about $1.75, and you are basically in a nice coach bus with reclining seats, AC. You could have the windows open, shades, and they're pretty comfortable seats, and they also have chargers, right? Now mind you, the one way to get to New York City that I always use when I live in my town, similar distance, right? Hour 30 minutes, around there, similar distance by train. The bus, I'm not really sure how that works, but I heard it's not the best train, or the bus works. I'm not sure how it really works, but I know to get to New York City, it's one, not the most comfortable, and two, it's pretty expensive, I've heard. And a longer drive. But I always take the train. And the train I take to basically New York City, both ways, round trip, is $40. So about $20 basically both ways. And that's in basically uncomfortable train seats with no chargers except one on each end of the car of the train, and pretty noisy, pretty shaky, and not really the best. Yeah, they have AC during the summer, heat during the winter, but honestly it's not necessarily the best riding conditions, right? And I think that's one thing that amazes me, because I could take the bus into Seoul and basically take the train transferring throughout Seoul without even having to pay any extra, because I just took the bus to Seoul. And I think that is something that amazes me, that I could legitimately basically pay $1.75 and then go around traveling around Seoul through subways, different buses, and depending on the bus I take, then I'll have to pay a little extra or cheaper the price, because it's considered a transfer. And that amazes me, that I could go all the way to the city by bus and take different subways, and I'm basically still paying 10x less than I would back and forth. And let's say I could go from Seoul to and back both ways for less than $5 while taking subways and everything else. And I think that is incredibly cheap and insane to me, how that's one, logistically possible, and well, I guess two, physically possible. Because when I'm, in New York, it just doesn't make any sense. I guess to further that point, another thing that I'll really miss is fairly priced items and products. One being like food, water, and certain necessity things like that. It's not so well priced. Like there's big bottles of water like this that are $1.50 here in Korea. And meanwhile, in the US, if I bought a 1 liter bottle of water, let's say by a brand by Poland Spring, most Americans should understand what that brand is. That is about like $4-ish, $3 to $4, depending on where you go. And I think that's ultimately insane to me that like another country could be serving the same exact product at basically a 50% discount. And that's all over. You could buy basically like 50-cent water that's like, regular size bottle of water, like that big. Or you can go and get ramen or cheap foods for less than $1, or you can basically get a meal for less than $4, $5 that is actually filling and nutritious at the same time. I think that maybe it's because of the living wages are lower, or the cost of living is lower necessarily. But I mean, you could even do that in the bigger city like Seoul, which it just doesn't add up to me how that's physically possible to do. Meanwhile, in the US, it's just, I guess, not possible. There's not many places like that because of taxes, because of increased wages. But at the same time, like, you can't just increase wages but not really increase them and expect now people to pay 20, 30, 45, 40, 50% price increases on items. It doesn't make logical sense. Even economically, it doesn't make any sense, because then you're just killing out other people that legitimately cannot afford to survive anymore. Of course, now that we're on the topic of food, I guess the previous topic was a little more deep than food, but I will definitely miss certain foods like barbecue and a lot of the, I guess, Korean culture aspects of eating together and having shared meals. I think is one of the coolest things, because I'm not used to that at all. I'm so used to going to a restaurant, everybody ordered their own meal, and that be that. I mean, when I eat with my friends at home, we'll order a bunch of appetizers and order meals, and all the appetizers, we just order one each and we're all sharing it. But like, it's not the most common thing to do in America. Like in America, it's, you get your appetizer, you kind of eat it yourself, or you get your meal and everybody just gets one meal and you just eat it yourself, and that's what it is. But in Korea, it's like, okay, we're gonna order like 5-6 different dishes, and then we're all gonna like share and like just try everything and like eat loads of different things. And it's like, or this big soup, and we're all gonna eat with it together. And I think that like kind of brings you in with other people, and you get to experience kind of a different way of eating. You're all talking, and it's kind of like it's actually like you're eating together with people, instead of like we are eating different things. And I don't know, to me it's kind of like a family type of meal, like always. And I think even in Korean culture, they never say it's like my dad, my house, my brother, or my anything. It's always our when it's translated. Like, it's our home, it's our dad, it's our friend, it's our brother. And I think that's so like kind of wholesome and family and group oriented. I think that's really a cool thing about the Korean culture. I guess to continue on Korean culture, convenience store culture, it may sound stupid to hear, and you've only seen it from like social media side of it, but living here, the convenience store culture is insanely huge. Like, there is convenience stores basically on every single block. There's multiple convenience stores on the same road. And at the same time, you can do a lot at a convenience store. For us, you could fill up your laundry card. You can fill up your T-Money card, which is your transport card. in New York City specifically, it's called a MTA card. So it's basically a way you could go through the bus, your trains, and all that other stuff. But in the convenience store, you could get legitimately full-on meals like ramen, chicken, sausage, like full-on meals. You can make your ramen and everything in the convenience store, eat in the convenience store, drinks, snacks, like how we have in, America. But I think in Korea, there's like a different culture of convenience stores. How well priced everything is. Two, how honestly convenient everything is. Because you can get an ice cup and like a little coffee cup and then get like miniature milk just for your coffee. And like there's miniature a lot of things. And there's like, I think a lot of like convenient little things that you wouldn't necessarily get in America, and if they were more conveniently priced, not necessarily conveniently priced, but more convenient things, they would be damn near the same price as, the regular size things. So it makes more sense to get regular size things. And that is another thing where I come back to America being, not necessarily fair price for a lot of things. So I think here with the convenience stores, it's like, wow, that actually makes sense. And the times that it doesn't make sense in convenience stores, and it was when it's imported things like Haagen-Dazs or, like ice cream, stuff like that. And that's really about it. Like for the convenience stores that I've gone to, like the most expensive things be like Haagen-Dazs and like random imported goods like that, because those will be like $11, $12, $13. And it's like, there is no point of that. There's Baskin Robbins that, let me tell you, one is horrible in America, and two is the best ice cream I've ever had in Korea. Like, I swear to you, salted milk ice cream. Oh my gosh, I gotta have some before I leave, for real. Like, I'm gonna figure out a way to like bring that back and ship it home. And another thing, basically on this topic, that these stores in Korea, like Baskin Robbins, like if I ordered that to go, they'll literally put that in like a freezer baggie to go that'll keep your ice cream cold and unmelted. Or if you buy a big enough bottle, like gallon of ice cream or whatever it is, they will literally put it in like a styrofoam ice box so you could take home with you and like travel around so you get home without it melting. Like, they are innovative. I don't understand how the same companies be in America and the same companies be here, and those companies here do better for their customers than they do back in their own country of origin. Like, I understand, entering into new markets, you have to do different business ideas, but why does that never translate? Like, why doesn't those improvements translate over? Y'all are billion-dollar companies. Y'all have the money to do the same thing. It doesn't make any sense. It's so crazy that, like, here, there's no tipping culture, but everywhere you go, there is the nicest people working. I swear to you. I've never had a bad experience at a restaurant. I honestly, it's like, some restaurants, like, I've gone to, and these, like, certain Korean people are so excited that you're a foreigner that they want to sit down and talk to you. Who are you? Where are you from? Why do you eat here? Like, are you enjoying the food? And, like, if you know little Korean, like, words, it brightens their whole days and everything about it. Last but not least, but it is the least, it is the last, like, one thing that I'll definitely miss, and something that I guess has like in the thought of my head, that, the safety here in Korea is beyond what I could ever imagine life could ever be. Because when I tell you, I see people's credit cards, wallets, like even earlier today, I saw somebody's whole wallet in the bathroom stall and it was just left there. And I was like, what? And I've seen cards around campus on the ground for a day or two. And I'll see in the convenience store in my dorm building that there's credit cards left overnight. And it's crazy to me because those will never get touched. Those will never get used. Those will go back into the hands of the people that those were meant to have. Those, they'll get returned, and they'll get, whoever's those were, they'll get them back. And I think that's the craziest thing to me, that the safety here in Korea is so top notch that you don't have to worry about these things. Like, you don't have to worry about somebody trying to pickpocket you, somebody trying to finesse you because you look like a tourist, or sell you anything random that you don't need. And I think that growing up in New York and living in New York, no, I didn't live in New York City, but through middle school, I didn't go to the best middle school ever, and it was in the center of the ghetto or the hood, however you want to describe it, where I grew up in. And I would see so many bad things happening there, and you know, gang violence and all sorts of things. And even if you go to New York City, like, I promise you, you will not be able to do things that you do here in Korea. Like, I've gone to cafes, left my computer in my bag with my stuff in it, and walked outside to talk on the phone with my friends, or walked outside just to get a breath of fresh air from studying. And I'm talking about not for like 30 seconds. I'm like, son. No, I'm talking about like 10, 20, 30 minutes, and nothing will be touched. None of your bags will be touched. None of your computer will be touched. Like, I promise you, if you did that like with a social experiment in New York City, you went to a cafe, put all your stuff down, and left for 20, 30 minutes, your stuff is getting taken. Even 5 minutes. You leave your wallet in the bathroom of Grand Central Station. You leave anything anywhere in New York City, your thing will be taken. Even in my local town, if you leave your wallet, anything, certain places, your stuff is going to be snatched. Your wallet might be there, but every single card and your cash in there is gone. Like, it's crazy to me that certain things like that exist. But at the end of the day, I think that it's something that I will miss dearly about Korea, because it's like, you don't have to worry about these things that you would normally have to worry about where I'm from. But I think that with that being said, I will wrap this up, and I will miss you, Korea. And I will definitely have to come back to reality once I come to New York, and not think everything is okay when I have to be more on my toes. All right? So I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.